midfield to the potential midfielders we might go for. Emi Martinez is a goalie we're looking at, and I know he messed up on the final day against us. You don't like him, Staffy?
You know what it is? If we just go by the rule is he's better than Onana, then yes, let's just agree that he's better than Onana and not even have a debate. Okay, but if we go by that logic, I can name so many goalkeepers that are better than Onana. So like the bar is very low if that's the argument we're gonna have. But if you're asking me, is Martinez a good goalkeeper? I honestly think, I genuinely mean this, he's the most overrated goalkeeper I have ever seen in my life. This guy has been goalkeeper of the year 3 years in a row. If I ask you guys two here, forget about what I think. At any point of your life, did you ever feel like Martinez was the best goalkeeper in the world? Forget the best goalkeeper. Did you ever think he was top 3 in the world? You're probably going to say no. He gets rated so high.
He had a good year, though, when they won the World Cup. And he was key for that, to win the World Cup as well, bro.
So here's my thing, Don. I do think he was key. He was very, very key for Argentina to win everything. I don't think without him, they would have won these trophies.
No.
So you're probably thinking, so how could you say that and think he's overrated? I beg you, go watch any comps they make about Martinez. It is always penalties. And I always say, if your goalkeeper's comps is just penalties, it's not a good sign. I think he's the best, at least in my lifetime, the best goalkeeper in terms of penalty shootouts I've ever seen. A lot of it has to do with his antics before the penalty taking, his mentality, the way he strikes fear into the players coming in to take the penalties. He has them on lock. He absolutely has them on strings. Outside of that, the guy is very mistake prone. The difference between him and an Onana, as an example, number one, Onana makes more mistakes. So we already established that. No one is debating, by the way, that Onana is better. However, his mistakes never get highlighted because he doesn't play for a big club. If he played for Man United, he'd be bantered so much for the amount of mistakes that I don't even have to go that far. Just watch the last game. One-on-one with Højlund, the guy thought he was JBL and he gave him a clothesline from hell. That's what he did. He said, fuck it. I'm going against, he didn't even think this striker right here has 6 goals this season. I fancy myself to defend him one-on-one. He just comes in and he's like, nah, let me just take him out and that's it. And sells the game in the first half. He makes so many mistakes. He's better than Onana, but he's so overrated. He's not that good.
Okay, so I could agree that he might be overrated. For me, though, it's that word that everyone loves and hates. It's market opportunity. I think he's a very good goalkeeper. Do I think he's actually the best goalkeeper in the world? No, I think that's Alisson. But some of the Joan Garcia, a lot of people liked, but he wanted to go to Barcelona, so that's off the table. There's the guy from Italy, Milinkovic-Savic. Again, I don't know anything about him other than what I've read, so to have an opinion on him is what it is. He's a massive improvement, Emi Martinez, on Onana. Does that mean that in another year or two we couldn't look for an even better goalkeeper? No, but I think we have to look at the situation and go, who's available? Can we land one of the best options in the world right now in terms of, can we attract them? Are they available? Are they attainable? But one thing is for sure, we cannot go into next season with Onana in goal. He will cost us at least 5 games. Martinez does have his moments, but I still think in terms of saving us points, having big moments, being a force for good, I think he'll improve us as a team. Where I agree with you is I don't think signing Emi Martinez fixes our goalkeeping issue for the next 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. But I think it's definitely an improvement. I'm about to say, Don looked like he froze there.
No, I think this is what I think, Terry. If we get him on a cheap price, I don't think he's worth that much because I'm hearing they want 25 to 30 for him. If Mike Maignan might go to Chelsea for 25 to 30, I'm sorry, you're not the same price. However, I look at him as a goalkeeper who's going to be like he's a transition for us, where basically you bring him in, he'll start for you 1 or 2 years just because he's going to make less mistakes than Onana. He's going to make mistakes. It's just going to be less than Onana. And in the meantime, you recruit the new goalkeeper. Everyone is suffering right now from a very dire goalkeeper market. When's the last time we've seen a very top goalkeeper? There's none of them around.
Yeah, no. I think that's what you should agree do. On that. I agree on it. Just trying to get back to my point that I was making about Mboma. I do think, that's fine. I do think he'll help us sign better quality football players. I think that is something that will happen. And I'm quite confident about that it's such a good signing. I know it isn't over the line yet, and I don't want to tempt fate, but the second bid is in. it's funny, like I'm being called out by journalists, and it's so hilarious because I quote tweeted my own tweet about the second bid going in, saying the media reports that United are offering more than 60 million for Mbomo are misleading. United will offer a base guaranteed amount of 50 to 55 million with add-ons up to 10 million. So these add-ons relate to performance, etc. And then there's 3 or 4 journalists that are commenting saying, you don't think that they're having a go at me. Don't think Brentford are mugs. Their negotiators are not idiots. United have folded before. People are challenging them. In the end, they've all said the same thing. I suspect Brentford will end up getting around the 55 million mark guaranteed. So what I said then, this just shows you people are journalists. A lot of journalists have showed their asses, not just their cheeks. A lot of these grown men have parted the cheeks. They've shown the old chocolate starfish to the world in the last few months. Talking about United's finances, and the news on our finances that have come out today are, listen, we haven't got the greatest finances in the world, but we're making very minor profits now, which in the grand scheme of things just means we can spend. You got to remember as well that, for instance, we're spending £50 million on Carrington. That's part of the reason why we're still not making more profits, but that's for infrastructure. When it comes to infrastructure, that's minus off of your PSR and your FFP. If you invest in the women's game, the stadiums you build, you buy youth players, all of this is deductible from your losses. So if you lose 150 million, but 120 million of that is part of a new stadium, rebuilding the training ground, investing in the women's team, buying players of 18 years old and younger, all of that is written off. So it's a lot of these journalists kind of came in for United and they lied and pushed misinformation about we were in a bad situation financially, but they made it sound apocalyptic. And what they didn't do when the ticket price increases were happening, when the redundancies were horrible but correct actions at the time, is explain to people that that's how United are going to afford to spend. They're now doing this thing of, I don't get how they can be in financial trouble but now spend money on players. Well, like the football terrorist told you all, we reduced the player salaries over the course of last season by £50 million. Less outgoing on salary last year. That's now being invested in players. In terms of the combination of ticket price increases and lowering expenditure, we saved the club around 50 to 60 million. That's 110 million pounds back in our coffers. And the only thing that worried me about doing that is whether or not Ineos would actually spend that on the squad. I think we can see that we are as of right now. And that's why these journalists are all having a pop, because they lied to their audience. They lied in their articles and are now looking really stupid. So what they're going to do is start attacking people like myself that have been critical of the things we've had to do, slamming the Glazers for hiring too many people and causing this horrible problem, but for knowing what the fucking truth was. Like, people have been gaslit, really gaslit into thinking United were going to fall away. What happened to Chelsea when you guys were spent? I remember I've still got a TikTok now, my biggest ever TikTok clip that KJ and the guys clipped up and put out, where I spoke about Chelsea breaching FFP, and this was like 3 years ago. And I was trying to explain to people, no, learn what net spend is. They've amortized these deals over 8 years. They're nowhere near breaking it. Even when you got into financial difficulties and then sold the assets, everyone's like, yep, they're done now. So no, Chelsea are only done.
By the way, we're still the Prem are still allowing that as well. I know there's a lot of rivals here.
But I knew what the Prem were going to allow it, because all clubs have now looked at what you've done. And this is what clubs are now going to do. They're going to start to compartmentalize. They're going to start ring fencing off different areas of the business. Hotels, land, women's team, youth team. Like Man United have got in the museum. Some clubs will have restaurants in them. Do you know how much Spurs could do? They could probably go, right, the concert part of the business, you know, Tottenham FC concerts, Tottenham FC go-karting. They've got a famous bar they open up. They could probably turn that into its own business. All they've got to do is create individual businesses. Then they can start selling them to themselves and raising even more money. So that's why no one's going to vote against it now. People will want that as a way of increasing the value and diversifying their portfolio as well. It actually mitigates risk against the main business. And United have done that to a certain degree. Like some of the way we've split some of the trading accounts across a number of different businesses. So at the end of the day, what Clearlake have done is innovative. It's not against the rules, and now the other Premier League clubs have voted it in to stay, essentially. So yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, very happy with the Mbomo deal. United.
Let me ask you.
Go on.
Yeah? So you're now signing Mbomo, you signed in Cunha, and you signed Gyökeres, right? Where you planning to finish next season with that attack? Let me go to you, Staffy, first.
I hate you. You know what? You're doing this on purpose. You're doing this on purpose. Because you know that front line is very good. No, I can't tell you that. You know why? Because the main issue for me still, I had two issues last season. The front, but I think the midfield doesn't get spoken about enough. And I don't think we're going to fix our midfield. So I don't know. I generally don't know. I think that front line, I actually tweeted that yesterday and it rubbed a few people the wrong way. I said that Gyökeres and Bueno and Cunha, that's the best front line in the league. A little bit of it was a joke,
The best
but I generally do believe.
That's definitely wild about that. That's one of the best attacks in the league, bro.
Yeah, I said it's the best, but I'm not gonna lie. Before I see it actually like play together, I can't really say that. But I do generally think it's it's at least a top 4 or top 5 front line in my opinion. The problem is going to be the midfield, and it doesn't look. Unfortunately, it looks like another season where we're not going to reinvest in our midfield. So I think that's going to be what sets us back. I generally do believe that. So it's going to be a hard thing for me to say. Let me answer the question
slightly more directly than Staffy. If we sign if we sign say 4 more players of, well, let's say 3 more if Gyökeres comes in per your question, of that level of the 3 we've signed, if we get a midfielder, a defender, and a goalkeeper that we all go, they're of that similar ilk. If we sign all of them, so we've got 6 players coming in like that, I expect us to finish in a European place.
European place is you saying top 6?
Well, I mean, how far? Yeah, well, it depends, doesn't it? Like that could be top 6, top 7.
You think would be a threat for top 4? Is what I'm asking you, Terry.
I don't know about top 4, because you have to weigh up what you guys all do. So you've gone and got yourself the lap. You're probably going to get Ekatike. You're looking at a wide player. You're looking at a brand new goalkeeper. You're better. Liverpool have just gone out there.
I like that. I like that. We've got progress because when Amorim first came in, you're like, no, we're not far off Chelsea. But now, yeah, all right, cool.
It's one of these things. I mean, what Amorim's system really exposed to us was the lack of physicality. That I knew we didn't have great athleticism, but it got exposed even more in a more sophisticated system. But Liverpool have improved massively. City are just about to get. Well, they've already got Reinders. They're going to get Cherky. They've gone and got Aït-Nouri. They're probably going to get Livramento. You've got Arsenal that have got Zubimendi coming in. We're going to get onto the Šeško news earlier. They're going to spend more money. They're looking at Williams's and Rodrigo's. So I look at those 4 because you are the top 4. We might close the gap, might get closer. But this is where what I won't do as a United fan is suddenly put unnecessary and unwarranted pressure on the team because we're not in this league in isolation. If none of you were allowed to sign anybody this summer and we had that window, I'd have a different opinion. But you guys are all looking like you're getting stronger and better, or at least from Liverpool's perspective, maintaining where they are. So this is why you can't always judge your own progress based on how you compare to others. That's why patience is needed, because it's relativity plays a part in this as well. So United could come 6th next season or 7th, but it could still be it could be a massive shift and improvement